Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Hobby Dude 007 channel. Today we're going to be finishing up our replica of my wife's high school wheels, her 1969 Plymouth Barracuda coupe. So stick around. Here's a look at our heater hoses and our radiator hoses before they're installed. Here's a quick look at them on the engine. And went ahead and got the engine bay dressed out along with the chassis and interior. Here's a look at that engine bay. You can see all the wiring and the hoses. I think those red printed, those are MSC radiator hoses. And I think they really turned out well. And the chassis pan, the interior, engine bay, everything is ready. We're just working on the body now. Here's one last look at our weathered chassis pan from underneath. And let's get on that body. Okay, everybody, I want to go over real quick body prep work. I spend a lot of time on body work. And the reason is the first thing that people are going to notice about your model, whether it's on a contest table or sitting in your display case at home, I do it honestly for my own satisfaction. When I was growing up in the 60s, 70s, and even to today, I love going to car shows. I used to go to the Cars and Stars and the cruise ins and all that stuff. And at the car shows, specifically the custom show cars, I was always drawn in by that mirror glass paint job that's unrealistic for a lot of cars that you drive around on the street. There are some, but I was always drawn into that, and cars dripping with chrome and all that stuff. And so I like to take that extra time when I'm prepping a body. I have one of my uncles is a body guy, so I learned a lot from him as far as prepping. And what I usually do is I take the molds, the factory mold seams out with 400 grit sandpaper. And after that, I get a coat of primer on it. And by the way, the primer I use all the time, well, for the most part, especially with bodies, is Duplicolor's Automotive Primer and Filler. So it fills a lot of those small scratches that the sandpaper can leave, but I try to start with a mild sandpaper anyway. And then I go back and block sand. You'll see on a lot of shows, car shows, where people are block sanding the car to get everything nice and smooth. And I said in one of the other videos that the smoother the base is, the smoother your paint's going to be. The smoother your paint's going to be, the smoother that clear coat's going to be, or your gloss finish is going to be. But I block sand. I got this little metal tea thing years ago somewhere. I don't even remember where, but I water sand. This is 600, and that's what I used on what you see here is 600. And I do not bear into it. Let the sandpaper do the work. And I'm talking just lightly. I am barely touching this, and I do it under running water in my shop sink. And just very lightly. Now you see on the trunk these little spots. Now I remember when I primed it, there was some trash back here, and I was just knocking that stuff out. And what I want to do is get everything nice, smooth, because like I said, that gloss finish is going to show up every little imperfection. But in your primer stage is where you're going to find little issues. This body is one of the best resin castings I've ever had. But this particular one, I never saw this until I got here. And then when I started working on this quarter panel, you see that little dark dot there? That indicates that there's a dimple there. Now, I can't feel it with my finger, with a primer on it. I never saw it. But when the gloss is on there, when you got something glossy on there, especially like I said, if it's gloss black, it's really going to show up. So just to be on the safe side, I'll use some Bondo glazing putty, and I'm going to fill that in, block it nice and flat. Then we'll hit it with our primer again. Then I'm going to water sand it one more time before color with 800. This is the 600. I'm going to hit it with 800, and I'm going to barely be touching that. Just enough to knock any dirt, dust, anything that might have gotten into that primer in there. Because again, the smoother this surface, the smoother your paint's going to go down. Another good example is I'm working on a 58 Corvette Custom. I'm customizing it. And this is a 58, and if you're familiar with the Pro Modeler kit, it had the rails that ran down, and even when I removed those things still showed up. Had a little depression where a Corvette emblem sat down into it. Had to work that a bit, but as you see, after about 3 coats of putty and primer, it's about ready. Now, same car. I've done this 3 times, and notice on the inside you had these vents on the underside of the hood. I didn't want them on the outside, and as you can see, looks nice and smooth, right? Well, when you get up to the top, you see that? That's going to show up. Now, when this was primed before it was water sanded, you didn't see any of that. And just a light go over and you see it, and that would show up under paint. So I'll go back and do that again until that's gone. So spend that little bit of extra time when you're wanting to do something. It's going to be worth it. So let's get this puttied up, sanded, primed again, and then we'll go from there. We have our final primer coat on. We've water sanded it with our 800, really smooth all the way down the sides. I don't see or feel, you remember that little impression there that we thought we might encounter. Sorry about that, bumped the camera. No trace of it there. Nice and smooth to the feel. And before we put our color coat on, I like to use a tack rag, which is just basically a sticky cloth that gets any lint, things like that, before we get in the paint booth. And in that I'm out of it, where I can't find the last one. I had a brand new one in a packet. I don't know where it is. I'm sure no one else ever encounters that. But you can use just a little old low-tack painter's tape. And what I'll do is, well, I usually make that a little bigger, but you can just bring this across the body. You can roll it too. And I'm not really going to be painting the top as much because remember, we're going to have a vinyl top on that, just like we did our 1/64. But you can rake this thing right down, and I'll do that in the paint booth again right before I put our color coat on. Make sure we have no lint, nothing on the car whatsoever. And it's really pretty smooth. Okay, let's get some color on this thing. Hey guys, the first two coats of our clear went on really well. I didn't even sand between those two coats, it was so smooth. But I am going to let it cure overnight, and then I'm going to hit it with 2000 under running water, and then we're going to get our wet coat, our final coat on it. Then we're going to hit it again with 2000. Then we'll get into waxing and all that. But this is where we are right now. Stick around. Our color code is finished and polished out, and I wanted to go over a couple of things real quick about that. You may have noticed during the second color coat that I did not have the car locked on the paint stand properly during the painting process, and it fell off and landed on the passenger side. And if you did see that, you may have noticed I turned it over and you could see the little scrapes and scratches on that side where it landed. Well, that's one of those oops moments that happen to all of us. That's just part of life. But all I did was let it dry for about half an hour and went back and water sanded it and just hit it with the color coat again. No big deal. But that's one of those things that, well, it happens. But put our 3 coats of clear on, and I mentioned that during the second coat, or after the second coat, we were going to be letting that cure overnight, and then we're going to hit it with one more water sand and then put the wet third coat on. And I did not do that. And the reason I didn't was that morning I looked it over and felt it, and all I did was use the tape to tack it down again and get any lint off. It was really smooth. I did not sand it. And I went ahead and put that third coat on. Got it in the dehydrator for a couple of hours, and then I timed how long it took to wet sand both with 1500 and 2000 and then polish this body out. And it took 1 hour and 10 minutes. And the reason I say that is it really doesn't take long to buff out a car and do it right. Now, I have taken longer, and had I done, normally from this stage, I'll use the polishing cloths and go behind that and do 6,000, 8,000, 10, 12,000 and really rub it out. But for the purpose of this car being a showroom stock and basically a desktop model, I really didn't get into that. But just with a little bit of work, you can see the reflection of the STP sticker there. And let me show you a couple other things here. You can see in the trunk the STP sticker's reflection, and this is just with 1500, 2000, and we buffed it out, by the way, with the Novus number 2, the fine scratch remover, and that's all this is. I didn't use the Meguiar's or the treatment this time, and I got such good results, I'm going to leave it alone. Sometimes you just need to leave well enough alone, I guess. Let's use our Somo diecast decal here and look down the side. As you can see, we've got a good finish, which honestly I think is a little better than what a showroom stock would be anyway. But really a great finish. I'm very pleased with it. And now we can move on to that vinyl top. And I kind of lied to you there. I told you we're going to use the Model Car Garage vinyl top kit, but we're actually not going to do that. I've been practicing to try to get the scale right to do what we did on the 1/64th scale. And if you remember, let me grab that real quick. If you remember how that turned out, it was really a good scale look and really turned out nicely. And so I've kind of practiced to get the scale and the texture and all that right for this. And I'm going to go ahead and try to do that with this one. And then we'll get into bare metal foil and all that stuff. So let's move on to the vinyl top, and we're going to wrap this one up. Here's our vinyl top. I think it turned out beautifully. Great texture, right to scale. I was very pleased with it. We'll get our bare metal full and everything trimmed out on it. The vacuum formed windows that Kenny put in the kit are perfect. They are crystal clear and they fit, like I said, perfect. We used the Model Car Garage script set from the Barracuda and applied just a touch of Mod Podge, just a thin strip in the gloss Mod Podge, and it just turned out great on all the scripts. The hood buffed out beautifully, just like the rest of the body did. And let's get over and take a look at our finished product. Well, here it is, our finished 1969 Plymouth Barracuda notchback. Again, a big tip of the hat to Kenny at Bandit Resins for such a fantastic molding on this car. I think it turned out just great. Amanda absolutely loves it, since this was her all-time favorite and her high school car. She loves it. She is looking forward to getting it in a display case. Told her not to put it on her desk till we had it in a display case, something to keep it safe, kind of. And of course, I have my version to sit by her picture on my desk, so that reminder of that. But I think they both turned out really, really nicely. The vinyl top, I really think that semi-flat Krylon paint did an outstanding job. And like I said, Kenny did a great job with the molding on the body. It is spot on. Everything about it. The decals were the only thing I was a little bit concerned about, because they were so old and a little yellowed, and they had a little milky stuff behind them that I had a hard time getting that off of the body, but just worked with it a little bit and got it straightened out. The tires, the wheels, the engine bay, everything. And of course, again, this is not a show car. This is not a contest car. This is one that's just for her desk. But I wanted to do it right for her. So next up, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I've got a pretty good idea, something I want to do for Atlanta. Something a little fun that'll fit with one of their themes. As I've told you before, I love themes and challenges. So I've got something in mind to do for that, and we may jump on that next. But I want to clear my head a little bit after these two little diamonds, and had a lot of fun with them. And like I said, and I think it was part 5, I will be doing another 64th scale. That was just a lot of fun. So thanks for tagging along on this journey. It was really fun. I enjoyed sharing it with you, and we'll see you on the next project. Thanks a bunch, guys. I sent my friend a model without no tires. I super detailed this engine, man, without no wires. Wait, what? Don't be confused. Subscribe to the Hobby Dude 007 channel now. Where are the tires?